Hello children, good afternoon to all. Next chapter we shall discuss chapter 10, that is respiration in organisms. So why do we respire? Respire means breathing, swasital. Okay, so why do we respire? We respire to get energy from food. Food contains stored energy. So food also have some nutrients that has energy. When we eat food, we also get energy from that in a chemical form. Okay, so when we respire, the food is broken down in the cells, which is presented inside our body, that is called animal cell. Okay, so our body need oxygen. We eat food, that food break down and it forms as a energy and it is released all over the body. Okay, so that we respire. Without oxygen we can't live, we can't do everyday activities also, so that we respire. What is respiration? This is the process by which food in the sense glucose here, you studied in lower class of food, that's all, but glucose is present inside the food, we can't see that. Okay, if the food digested only, the energy released as glucose. So glucose broken down in the cells of the body with the help of the oxygen to release energy. We breathe oxygen and also we eat food. This food, after digested, all the digested food are taken by the villi present in small intestine and it passes to the blood vessels, and all these nutrients goes to lungs in a glucose form. Okay, not like a food, in a glucose form. And also we breathe, no, that oxygen goes and it both glucose and oxygen combined and it release as energy. So this is happen inside the cell, this is happen inside the cell. Okay, so that is called a cellular respiration. Cellular respiration takes place in the cells of all organisms. So respiration takes place in the cell of the body, it is called a cellular respiration. The respiration செல்லுக்குள்ள நடக்குது, அதனால இதை cellular respiration சொல்றோம். Okay, so glucose plus oxygen, we eat food, isn't it, that break down and it form as a glucose, plus we breathe also, that oxygen both is combined and it form as carbon dioxide plus water and energy. So we release carbon dioxide outside. This process all happens within a second. It won't take a time to do all these performance. So this all happens within a second. Okay, next one, types of respiration. So there are two types of respiration, that is aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration is with oxygen. This process happens with the help of the oxygen. So aerobic means with the oxygen, that is in the presence of oxygen. Okay, so here glucose, presence of oxygen, what happen, it release carbon dioxide, water and energy. Okay, and anaerobic respiration, that is absence of oxygen. Without oxygen, some organisms release energy, that is alcohol, carbon dioxide and energy. It takes place in yeast. where it takes place in yeast form. So glucose, absence of oxygen, alcohol, carbon dioxide and energy released. Anaerobic in the sense some organisms can respire without oxygen. So those organisms are called anaerobic organisms, children. So in anaerobic respiration, in our muscle cells, நம்மளோட மசிலோட செல்லுலையுமே sometimes it happens. How? So that glucose, நம்ம உடம்புல நம்ம சாப்பிட்ட குளுக்கோஸ் இருக்கும். அந்த குளுக்கோஸ் சம்டைம்ஸ் என்ன ஆகும்னா ஆப்சன்ஸ் ஆஃப் ஆக்சிஜன்லையும் அந்த மசில் செல்ஸ் சுவாசிக்கும். That is, it release lactic acid and energy. See, glucose, what happened in the absence of oxygen? Lactic acid formed. So during muscle cell respiration, what it is released? Lactic acid and energy. So lactic acid slightly harmful, and also the very next day if we do lot of works we feel muscles pain. That is called muscle scramble. This is because of the muscle cells respiration. Okay. Next, breathing. Breathing is the process by which oxygen-rich air taken in the carbon dioxide rich air is given out with the help of the respiratory organs. So the taking of air rich in oxygen is called inhalation. Rich oxygen, if we inhale rich oxygen, inhalation. If we give out air, carbon dioxide, exhalation. So this is the number of time the person breathes in a minute. Within the 1 minute, how many times the person breathes. That rate is called the breathing rate. Okay. So when a person needs more energy, he breathes faster, and the more oxygen is supplied, more food is broken down and more energy is released. This is depending upon the person's activity. If the person is running, he need more energy, so he breathes faster, and he may feel thirsty, and also he may feel hungry. He may take a food. So according to the activity of the person, the breathing rates changes. So what is breathing rate? Number of times a person breathes in a minute, not in an hour, in a minute. Okay. Next, how do we breathe? We breathe through lungs, isn't it? So the main parts of the respiratory system as given here: nostrils, wait, see, nostrils, nasal cavity, windpipe, lungs and diaphragm. What is that? Diaphragm is present here. Rib cage, under the rib cage, diaphragm. Then nasal passage here. Then pharynx, larynx, trachea. Trachea is a cartilage bones, is covered the pharynx. And breathing involves the rib cage. See, rib, vila elumbu selvaanga. And a muscular sheet below the chest cavity called this is muscular sheet. Muscles like a sheet is present below the chest cavity, that is called a diaphragm. So when we breathe, the diaphragms goes up and down. Okay. During inhalation, the chest cavity increases in size, so the diaphragm moves down, vice versa. If we inhale, diaphragm moves down. If we inhale, it moves down and air enters into the lungs. So when we inhale, the lungs chest cavity gets longer. Okay, the during exhalation, chest cavity reduces in size and diaphragm moves up. The air is pushed out the lungs. Next, see human respiratory system. Make a note and take down the notes in your book also. Next, mechanism of breathing. What happens while we breathe? See children, when we inhale, inhalation, exhalation happens in one respiration. One respiration takes place, that is one breath takes place, inhalation, one exhalation is called breathing rate, breath. So, while exhalation, the diaphragm moves up. When inhalation, the diaphragm goes down because the air inside the lungs and it pushes down the diaphragm. And vice versa, when we exhale, the air comes out and the diaphragm goes up. This is the formula. Okay, so you can do by one activity also to know this. Next, see here, model to show the mechanism of breathing. Here, exhalation, inhalation happen. During expiration, see here, the balloon is denoted as lungs. Bell jar is chest cavity. Then U-tube is trachea and bronchi. So the volume decreased and pressure of increase. While we expiration, while the air goes out, the diaphragm, that is rubber sheet, diaphragm goes up. See, when the air come inside, this comes down. Okay, goes up and down. This is the formula of breathing. And what do we breathe out? So we breathe out carbon dioxide. For that activity given, and in some animals, how they breathing. See, for example, cockroach breathes through small openings called spiracles. Small opening in their body. The spiracles are connected to the air tubes called trachea. So, in trachea, the spiracles are attached. See here, spiracle are attached trachea in their body itself. So, the oxygen-rich air enters through the spiracles and passes through trachea to all cells in the body. This present through the body. Likewise, happens in cockroach. And how it happens in earthworm? Earthworm breathe through their moist skin. Moist skin helps in the exchanging of gases. So it breathe through the skin, not like us. It breathe through skin. And fishes breathe through gills. See here, gills. Gills have blood vessels which helps in the exchange of gases. See, reddish in color, the blood vessels are connected with the gills. Okay, so that blood vessels, gills are helped to exchange the gases. Next, respiration in plants. You know that already plants also take oxygen. It is also a living organism and it happens through stomata, that is called tiny pores. It exchange the gases through the stomata. Do you remember? Yes, children.